All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Danger Zone podcast, episode 3. With me today, as usual, are the guys from the Freeform Rock podcast, Mr. Mark Allen Taylor and Lee Gershman. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great. I'm actually today I'm a hamburger and not a steak.
I'm I'm doing good because I like anything with danger in it because I know that I'm kind of a fiery tyrant and so anything that I say might be put in danger. So thank you for allowing me to spoo.
So you like the Boy song "Dangerous"?
I actually don't mind it.
No, he likes the Kiss song "Dangerous."
Uh
no, he likes
Not
burn.
quite.
He likes "Burn Bitch Burn" on that song.
None
Well,
of
that's a
those
classic.
songs you've said made me angry yet.
All right,
Please
Well,
don't make me angry.
he'll turn into the Lee Hulk.
yep. We don't
Now
upon joking about.
You'll be a Hulka burning Lee.
that sounds like San Francisco when the men um are outside of the cafe wearing nothing but hats, and they look at me and go, da 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 da, sexy boy, and I'm like, take care, boys, and I walk off quick.
I thought you would go, hey, I like men without hats better. You could dance if you want to. You can leave your friends behind.
No, there's no. There's a friend of mine who would say that, but not me.
All right. So what's up, Devin? How are you doing, Mr.
Oh, I'm
Host
doing
and
great.
podcaster extraordinaire?
I'm doing great. I'm off work today, so I'm doing really, really good. This is kind of going to be a double podcasting session because I'm doing this and another one right after. So kind of going to be a busy rest of the day, but it's all good. Guess I should talk about what the topic of the episode is going to be. Not really an album review this week. Somewhat kind of an album review, but it's going to be a whole discography. This week we're talking about the whole entire Van Halen discography. And I'm not talking about just the Roth era. I'm talking about Hagar, Sharon, even throw in Malloy in there as well. So,
Really?
Oh, I don't even know. So are you also saying that you went into David Lee Roth's trash can and you happen to hear him sing in the shower, and you're going to talk about those songs too?
I guess I don't. I mean, whatever. I don't know.
I mean,
Mitch
there's
Mitch
some
No
stuff that
Soul Malloy.
there's some stuff that I won't comment on if I don't know it. So if I
Okay.
sound like I'm shutting up, which is a first for me, please understand.
Okay. Well,
But
let's go ahead.
95% of it, I'm going to keep talking.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into this discography with the very first Van Halen album, 1978, produced by Ted Templeman, the classic debut album. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, at least with my opinions on the album, because what can I say that hasn't already been said? I mean, it's a classic rock and roll album. It changed the face of hard rock in the late 70s. It was a it paved the way, even for me at least, for the new wave of British heavy metal. I mean, it's kind of somewhat a heavy metal album in a way, a lot like On Fire and stuff like that. But I'm just going to do a quick rundown of the track list, at least for me, my thoughts on each song, just some quick little review. Of course, Running with the Devil is a classic Van Halen track. Eruption, classic. You Really Got Me, classic. Ain't Talking About Love, or Ain't Talking About Love, classic Van Halen track. Those first four are kind of radio staples. I'm the One, classic. Jamie's Crying's a classic. It's another FM radio staple. Atomic Punk, Feel Your Love Tonight, Little Dreamer, Ice Cream Man, and On Fire. Whole thing classic from start to finish. I can't say much else other than this is a classic, hard rocking, great album. So, Mark, your thoughts on the first Van Halen album?
That's fucking amazing. It's like I didn't get into it when I was 8. I was listening to freaking Foreigner and the Beatles at that time. I didn't know who the fuck Van Halen was at that time. But it's a fucking great album. I remember when I first got it on cassette and I'm listening to it in my friend's car. I didn't drive at that time. Freaking amazing. Running with the Devil, Eruption, the version of You Really Got Me. Nobody remembers the Kinks version anymore. The fucking
Yeah.
Van Halen just owned it. I don't know. Lee might disagree with me on that one.
I do actually disagree. I think that the Kinks version is better, but
Boo.
but not by 100%. Only by maybe 10% better. But it's a really good 10%. You have to hear the first Kinks album. I'm
I
sorry.
love the
This
Kinks,
is not
Lee.
my podcast, so I shouldn't yell.
I don't know why you haven't
Please
picked. I
please
don't know why you
remind
haven't.
me. Please remind me next time I yell that I shouldn't yell.
I'm gonna pick a Kinks album word of mouth from the '80s on you one day. Um,
Uh, I have no idea whether I'm going to yell or not yell.
I think that has freaking some good songs on there. I forgot the track listings.
I like the Kinks, but I forget whether I like that.
Well, then
I'll pick an album instead.
it has a Talking About Love classic song.
The
I'm the
Kinks. I'm
one.
sorry. I'm kidding.
Jamie's crying. Atomic Punk. Feel Your Love. I love Feel Your Love with all the background vocals. Ba ba da shoobity wah ba da da ba ba da shoobity doobity wah. Freaking David Lee Roth Showman. Freaking there on that song. Little Dreamer. Fucking Ice Cream Man is amazing. And then On Fire. Fucking great album.
Okay. Lee, what's your thoughts on the first Van Halen record?
Well, I have to give you a little bit of a backstory.
Okay.
There was I was in junior high in White Hills School in Fairfax, and there was a guy in our class named Tim Abercrombie. Tim kind of looked like Zach Taylor on Saved by the Bell, if you remember that show, and Zach with his blonde hairdo and his kind of a, smug attitude. I don't know if you know of that show. If you don't, then I'm saying
I do.
some
I
that.
do.
Okay, thanks. It's that he, but he kind of had a sneer. Maybe Mark might relate more to the guy who played he had the curly hair and
Screech?
the sunglasses in
Screech?
70s show,
Oh, Hyde.
yeah, he didn't look like Hyde, but he acted like Hyde. But he looked, he had kind of like a surfer haircut, kind of like Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys, kind of a thing, and he was kind of a Tim Abercrombie was kind of a, he acted kind of like if you didn't have anything interesting to say, you were wasting his time talking to him. And he kind of had like a sort of a sneer when he talked, but it was just sort of just his attitude. But we talked about music, and he talked about Aerosmith and Kiss and stuff. And one day he saw me, went, I have a group that you need to listen to. They're better than Kiss. They're better than Ted Nugent. They're better than everybody. Get it. It's Van Halen. I had not heard of them before. I went to the record store. They only had one copy of the Van Halen album. I just went specifically because he told me to get it. And I figured, okay, I'll get it. And I liked some of the songs back then. I wasn't a big fan of everything. Now, of course, everything's all good. But I was also into Ted Nugent, and I was into Rolling Stones, the early period and stuff. I was into stuff that was really heavy rocking, and to me, Van Halen was kind of like, it was okay, but I didn't necessarily think of them as my favorite group at that moment. But still, I figured, well, who knows? Maybe they might be better. My favorite songs from that album were Ain't Talking About Love. That was my favorite song, and I liked I'm the One. and I also kind of liked those were my two favorites. I also kind of liked On Fire. The rest was okay. Now, of course, I like everything, but back then, I thought they're okay. That was my opinion back then.
Okay. Great backstory, by the way. That was really I really enjoy that backstory.
Yeah, because it's like my friend told me about it, so I bought it like maybe 1 or 2 days after it got released. And that was only because he told me about it. Otherwise, I would have been like the rest of you, and I would have bought it 5 years later or 10 years later. Oops, sorry.
But in closing, before we go to Van Halen 2, are you guys done with y'all's opinions on this particular album?
Yes.
Well, what's your favorite song on Van Halen 1, Lee?
Ain't talking about love. Maybe
Okay.
you didn't hear me because I was jabbering.
Jabberwocky? All right. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, but yeah.
Mine's probably I'm the One. That's the one I like to gravitate toward a lot.
Mine is Eruption going into You Really Got Me.
Okay, that's a great one too.
Go on.
I was just going to say there was a total of 5 singles released from the album in '78. You Really Got Me backed with Atomic Punk, Running with the Devil backed with Eruption, Jamie's Crying backed with I'm the One, Ain't Talking About Love backed with Feel Your Love Tonight, and in Japan only, On Fire backed with Jamie's Crying. So, Lee, what was you going to say there?
Oh, yeah. I was going to say I actually thought of I had a bunch of stuffed toys, and I imagined that some of my stuffed toys had a group called the Toilets, and I would listen to the Van Halen music and have my stuffed toys pretend to do their dancing to the album, and so what I do is I actually wrote words to songs of the group, and what I did was the lead singer of it. He was the guy that wrote all of the songs that were the originals, and then like maybe the third song on the Van Halen album, "You Really Got Me." That was a group composition, like "Come On Baby," like "Oh da 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 da," "Come on baby, come on baby," and then the Ice Cream Man was maybe another group composition, but the fifth song, the one called I wrote called "It's One." It's like instead of "I'm the One" by Van Halen, it's like "It's one, it's 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 one." And this is all stuff that I don't have anymore. But it's like I wrote tons of lyrics pretending to be the group The Toilets, based on Van Halen albums, and this is the first time that I talked about it. But I used to show the lyrics to people in school, and they thought it was cool.
Okay, that's interesting.
Hey, you just got to remember that this album went diamond, which is 10 million copies sold.
Oh yeah,
That is freaking amazing, and they haven't recertified this album in years. I bet it's closer to 20 million by now. Just my opinion. Fucking RIAA is a fucking greedy bastards. They need to fucking, because the record companies have to pay, or the band has to pay to certify their album. So they just don't do it all willy nilly. They want to be paid. Fuckers.
I didn't know that. I didn't know they had to pay to.
Oh yeah, they have to pay to get certified.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Well, we then moved to 1979, Van Halen 2. More of the night he. I'm just kidding.
You aren't wrong.
Because it's kind of pretty much the same album in a way. I think it's a perfect extension of the first album.
I totally disagree with you on that one. This is way different. But go ahead.
I actually agree with both of you there. That sounds how weird I am. But yeah, you're both right.
Produced once again by Ted Templeman. I love this album. To me, it's actually kind of somewhat of an underrated Van Halen album. I don't hear this one talked about as much as something like the first album, Fair Warning, or 84. And to an even extent, I think Diver Down gets talked about more than this album sometimes, just because either some people like it or some people hate that album. But I digress because we'll get into that album here in a little bit. But for the first track, You're No Good, love it. Dance the Night Away, love it. Somebody Get Me a Doctor, love it. Bottoms Up, love it. Great track. Out of Love Again, Light Up the Sky, Spanish Fly, DOA, Women in Love, and Beautiful Girls. Whole album, once again, is a classic album. And to me, kind of an extension of where the first album left off. So I'm going to swap it up this time. Lee, what's your thoughts on Van Halen number D?
Okay. Well, first off, I want to say when I first heard it, and even now, well, now when I hear the first album, that's still very, very classic. The second album, it depends upon my mood, but when I first heard it, I thought that was quite a bit better. And the thing is, if you ever had the original back then album copy of it, um, both the first and the second album had track listings that were different than what was on the actual stamped record. I
A bunch of
hear,
Kiss albums done that. Yeah.
yeah, I hear that, yeah. And did you say Kiss?
Yeah, a bunch
Yeah,
of
yeah,
them.
yeah. That's because at the time that they make the cover, they decide on the track listing, and then someone decides later to change it. But I made a playlist of this, and I heard the track listing according to the original cover, and I found that even the songs that I wasn't as much into back in the day sounded a lot better on that original track list. The only song that I do not like and I feel is like the pink elephant in a room full of biker guys is Dance the Night Away. I think that to me is like a guy who makes nothing but hot chili pepper tamales for people, and he decided to make a strawberry sundae for his 4-year-old granddaughter, and he didn't want anyone to know about it, but it ended up being the hit. And that to me is how it was. But I was when I got the first Van Halen album, I decided I was going to be kind of like a completist. I was like that with Kiss. I was like that with Van Halen. I was like that with solo Ted Nugent, and then later on I found out he was in the Amboy Dukes, so damn it, I wasn't able to get everything. And I was like that with Aerosmith uh, and all that. So I was like that with a bunch of different groups, and I was like that with Van Halen. As long as I got the first one, I want to see how their other music is going to be. Because, like it or not, there was a lot of stuff out there that wasn't really great music. So even though at the time I thought Van Halen wasn't the very best, the first one wasn't the very best hard rock album out there, it was still hard rock. It was still the music that I liked. So I was enthusiastic to see how they improved, and they did improve on their second album. And I would say my favorite tracks would be Somebody Get Me a Doctor, which I heard on the radio, Bottoms Up, and Out of Love Again, 3 in a Perfect Trilogy, and DOA. You can't get better than that. That's fucking awesome. The rest of it at the time, okay. Now I like the rest of the songs even better. But yeah, I definitely thought this is a step up. And I thought it was cool. All right.
Okay. Well, Mark, what's your thoughts on Van Halen 2?
This is one of the all-time summer albums. Freaking,
Oh, yeah.
you start off with the cover of Linda Ronstadt's "You're No Good," which I like better than Linda Ronstadt, but she does have an amazing voice. Dance the Night Away, another summer song. Somebody Get Me a Doctor, drinking and partying, you know. Bottoms Up, another party song. Out of Love Again. Light Up the Sky, and then freaking you bring it down with an acoustical Spanish Fly with Eddie Van Halen. And then DOA, the best song on the album, fucking Dirty Face Kid in a Garbage Can. Fucking
Yeah.
great fucking song. And then Women in Love, great. And then you end it with a freaking ultimate summer song. I'm on the seaside sitting just smoking and drinking. I'm ringside on top of the world, top of the world. I drink in my hand. I got my toes in the sand. All I need is a beautiful girl, beautiful girl. Great song to end the album. Fucking great album. And it was last certified 5 times platinum in 2004. So this album is probably more than 5 times platinum right now.
Yeah, and the weird thing is that I had never really liked Women in Love or Beautiful Girls too much, but when I heard it on the original track listing, with Beautiful Girls being like maybe the second or the third song on side 2, and then Women in Love being in a different position, I thought they were really good. So I guess with me, sometimes track listing does influence how a song sounds.
Yeah,
Okay.
we talked about track listing before, how this song should have been before this song, and it would have been smoother, you know. We get into that.
Yeah.
Well, that was one thing I was going to say about the first album. Perfect album, but if I could change one thing, I would make Eruption the opening song. But to me, it's still a perfect album regardless. But if I could change one thing, I would have made Eruption probably the first song, and put Running with the Devil maybe around 3 or 4 on the album.
I
But
think
at least
I think Eruption is
interesting.
I think Eruption's perfect where it is, because Running with the Devil gives you that huge bass line in the beginning. Is boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
it just builds up, and then freaking the next song, Eruption, into You Really Got Me, fucking works perfect for me.
Yeah, I would think, well, I mean, I'll have to hear it, but yeah, to me, Eruption would be like taking the middle of a song and putting that first. But I won't know until I hear it. I do know that on the original track listing, You Really Got Me was the first. And but I would say that when I heard the first album on the original track listing, I thought the songs were too long. Like they were 2 minutes, but I thought they should be cut to 1 minute. I thought that the Van Halen 2 album had a much better original track listing. But yeah, I'll listen to it again with your idea, Devin. Would you say Running with the Devil third or fourth? What would be your opinion? Just so that, because I like to make track listings.
Oh yeah, I do too. Probably 4.
Okay, probably. I think that would be kind of cool to find out. I mean, I can't say what I'll think yet, but I'm willing to listen. I think that's right on.
It's just the buildup of Running with the Devil. I think Eruption would have been just like, what the fuck is this? Running with the Devil would get you.
I agree.
Going for like Eruption later.
Yeah, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, hit it. You don't say hit it and then 1, 2, 3, 4.
I know. It's like, fuck, what is this?
That.
It's like, fuck, is anybody singing on this album? You know, they got you with fucking that boom, boom.
And like I said, I'm
not complaining. You know, it's fucking.
And I'm not complaining. I think the album's perfect as it is. I'm just saying maybe that could have kicked the album off to a possible kind of, this is freaking the guitar player and everything else. This is what the sound's kind of going to be with our guitar player. And as famous as that solo has became, maybe looking back.
I get it. I get what you're saying.
Possible.
Yeah. Hey man, I dig I dig your stuff there, you know. You're getting to be like me. Right on, man. Thank you, Lee Jr. So you might say, fuck it. I ain't no Lee Jr. I'm Lee Sr. Bend over, bitch. I'm kidding.
Well, before we go to the third record, I want to just talk about the singles that were released First single, Dance the Night Away, backed with Out of Love Again. Second track, Somebody Get Me a Doctor, backed with Women in Love. That was a single only in Japan. And the third single was Beautiful Girls, backed with DOA. So, three very good songs, I think, and probably the three most well-known songs off the album. And my favorite track on here is probably either Out of Love Again or Bottoms Up.
Mine's
I
DOA and Bottoms Up.
Okay.
I
Okay.
agree with all three of you. If I had to really pick,
Three of you. There's only two, Lee.
well, I mean the
vodka's making you hear three people.
Right on, thank you. If I had to pick, I would maybe pick DOA overall. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's the best song. And then Bottoms Up.
Yeah.
Okay. So
they're all
that's
awesome too.
Okay. So that's our review of Van Halen 2, More of the Night Van Halen Came On. So we can move on now to 1980, Women and Children First, once again produced by Ted Templeman. Speaking of underrated, I think this one is the one that's you barely hear anything at all about. The only song on this album I think anyone ever talks about is And the Cradle Will Rock, because that was the only single off the album, backed with Everybody Wants Some, which is probably the second song that people most know on this album. Just going through the track listing real quick. And the Cradle Will Rock, classic. Have You Seen Junior's Grades? Love that part of the song. Guitar solos spectacular in it. Everybody Wants Some, classic Van Halen. Fools, classic Van Halen. Romeo Delight, probably the third song that people most know off the album. Love it. Tora Tora, which is cool. Loss of Control, which is cool as well. I've always liked Loss of Control. Take Your Whiskey Home, which is quintessential Van Halen. Could This Be Magic, which is great as well. I always call this track Women and Children First because during the chorus it says that. In a Simple Rhyme, which is classic Van Halen. And then you've got the hidden track, Growth. So, Mark, what's your thoughts on Women and Children First?
This is a fucking fantastic album. It did sell 3 million copies. They're starting to go downhill with their album sales here. And the Cradle Rock is a great song. And Everybody Wants Some. If you ever watched the movie Better Off Dead with the burger with the Eddie Van Halen guitar, fucking amazing song. Fools, great. Fucking, I love that song. What does he say in that song? Fucking high school. Fucking something about high school. Fucking great track. And then you got Romeo Delight, which is awesome. Tora Tora, weird. It should have been the same as Lost Control. Should have been they divided tracks up. Lost of Control is a weird song, but Lost of Control, Lost of Control, Lost of Control. Take Your Whiskey Home, fucking perfect Van Halen song there. Drinking, love it. Could This Be Magic? Great song. And Simple Rhyme, the best song on the album to me. And then Growth is okay. It's nothing really.
Okay. And it, go ahead.
I just love In a Simple Rhyme with the freaking Yours in a Simple Rhyme. How they're freaking,
and they brought that back.
They're singing together and freaking, and then the drums come in and he goes, wow, you know, fucking guitar.
Yeah.
I love that shit.
And they brought that back into the set list more recently. So that was pretty cool. That
song rules. Me and Lee with Bushy from the Plug podcast. Yep. Now he has Metal Mike on there with him, which I suggested to him. Good job. I was going to help him out until he found Mike. So that's good, man. So check out the Plug. I'm plugging the Plug. I hope you don't mind, Devin. With Bushy and Metal Mike from that metal station. They're both DJs on there also. So that's going to be amazing when they already did the first episode yesterday. You need to check it out. But Bushy did the review with us. He didn't really care for this album. He thought Eddie didn't play enough leads. I agree with him, but I still liked it.
And that's one thing, like this album's one I don't go back to a whole lot, but when I do go back to it, I'm like, man, this is actually a great friggin' album. And I just don't understand why I haven't revisited it as long as I have, because I actually haven't went back to it in a while.
Lee
But it
was
also
groaning.
says
Lee was groaning about "In a Simple Rhyme." Groan.
but it
wait
also
until
says
wait, wait until you say my name, and then I'm going to talk.
Okay.
says Nicolette Larson provided backing vocals on "Could This Be Magic." I never knew that, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
And
She's
well, Lee,
hot. She's still hot.
okay.
I'll say the first. I'll say when this album came out, that was when I thought this was Van Halen doing original, interesting, out there, cool stuff. I thought this was the first album where they really held their own. But I was going to say, Devin, at first, when you were giving your review to all of the songs, I was going to say, I have to apologize to Mark because you're the one who likes everything. And Mark doesn't like as much. But then when he gave his review, I felt like saying, I apologize, Devin. Mark is still worse. You know? So it's like people fucking with me. The thing is that, okay, you like In a Simple Rhyme. I don't like that song. It's an early song. It's better in the early demo version in the zero sessions or whatever the fuck that shit is. But I mean, it's like Kiss and Beth. You have to have a Wimp song, and Van Halen's Wimp song was In a Simple Rhyme. But and that and Could This Be Magic? Two clunkers. But everything else, very, very good album. I feel like if they cut out those two songs and they put in some maybe some other song from another album, a couple other albums, they could have had a perfect album. My favorite song, I guess, if I have to give a favorite song, I'll have to say Fools.
Okay.
Fools is a great song.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And my favorite's probably Romeo Delight. That's my favorite on the album.
I already told you mine is In a Simple Rhyme and Take Your Whiskey
Oh,
Home.
fucking God. I'm sorry, I shouldn't yell because you only give me your opinion.
Lee, you know how I love harmonies. That song has perfect harmonies on it, man.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to yell at you, but when I hear you say In a Simple Rhyme, it's like someone taking a hammer and banging on my foot, and I go, ow, automatically. It's not
like
on purpose, but I mean, it hurts me. And it's like I go, ow! But I mean, you can like it, but it's just that it fucking hurts me.
It's like old Dawkins to me, all those fucking great
harmonies. Oh my God, I don't want to hear old Dawkins now. Thank you very much.
Okay.
But I do agree with you. I do agree with you, Lee, that this is Van Halen coming more into their real sound after the first two albums. I think kind of the first two albums showed a little bit more influence, and then you get to this album where they kind of start getting into the sound that a lot of people know for Van Halen. I'm not saying the first two albums don't have the Van Halen sound, because they're quintessential Van Halen albums. I do think that this album is getting into more of
Thank you.
Van Halen
sound. You made me feel better. I'm going to forget what the hell happened the last minute ago.
Okay.
Simple Rhyme. Simple Rhyme.
Shut up!
All right, well, let's get away from that album to kind of a somewhat, I think, a kind of a controversial album, because I hear a lot of people love this album, but early on, a lot of people really didn't like this album. And that is 1981's Fair Warning. Probably, Van Halen 2 is probably my favorite Van Halen album. This is probably tied with it. Cool. I love this album from start to finish. Mean Street, Dirty Movie, Center Swing, Hear About It Later, Unchained, Push Comes to Shove, So This Is Love, Sunday Afternoon in the Park, and One Foot Out the Door, all classic tracks. I think this is around the time where Eddie Van Halen wanted to start adding keyboards in, and Diamond Dave pretty much didn't. He wanted to stay with the sound that they had developed on the previous albums. And that kind of leads to the reason a lot of this album has this kind of ticked off attitude throughout with stuff like Center Swing and a lot of the playing overall. I mean, it's some of the best Eddie Van Halen playing on any of the albums, and I love this album, start to finish. I think this is a classic album. And back in the day, this actually, I don't think it did that well. I think it
No,
was kind of
it's the lowest selling of their
yeah,
discography with 2
it
million.
was it was kind of a flop in a way, but it's looked back on now very similar to what I think the next album, spoiler alert, is. It's looked back on as being a much better album than what it actually is, or what it actually was considered back in the day. People really think it's a great album. And once again, this was produced by Ted Templeman. So there you go. Spoiler alert: he produced everything up to 1984, and then came back for an album later that we'll get into. The two singles released off this album, So This Is Love and Unchained. Depending on the country, it says here Unchained was backed with either Center Swing or Push Comes to Shove. So there you go with that. And then you've got the three iconic live videos from Oakland. Great. I wish there was a full show of that. I wish, because they're smoking on that night. I mean, those three videos are a classic part of the Van Halen discography. Period. I think they're or filmography. I think they're a vital part of Van Halen. So that's kind of all of my spiel on Fair Warning. Love it. And to you, Lee, what's your thoughts on Fair Warning?
Thank you. Well, it's not going to be a fair warning. It's going to be a fair compliment, because back in the day when I had this album, I thought, this is even more cool. This is maybe the first album that they did where at the time, maybe the only song that wasn't as interesting as the others was Push Comes to Shove, but I mean, it's still a good song. So everything worked. I would say that now I don't listen to it as much as I used to, because I listen to it a lot. I don't know if you ever had those headphones by Sony that were like the big headphones that look like muffins on your ears, and it was brown, like you're putting a chocolate muffin headphone on your head. But this is back in the day. Yeah, and they could blast stuff. And I used to listen to it in the early mornings when my mom would pound on the door. Lee, it's time to go to school. I might go, I can't hear you. But anyway, the thing is, so I would listen to this album blasting on my phonograph. I had vinyl records back then. I had a Kenwood system. That's back in the day. Man, you're bringing me back to these early memories. And so for me, I would say I like it. I would say that nowadays, if I were to pick my favorite song, this is going to be difficult because I like Mean Street a lot, but I mean, I'm almost tempted to say in a really, really strange way that my two favorite songs on the album would be One Foot Out the Door and Push Comes to Shove, only because Push Comes to Shove has this really kind of sort of, it's not creepy. It's more intimate. Like if someone's with someone who's their partner and they're making out in the back building, and this song comes on, this would be a perfect song for it. Or you know, or a song that reminds someone of an intimate moment with someone. It's like an interesting hidden track, like I don't want to introduce you to my mother, but we have a barn in the backyard. Meet me back in the barn. kind of like that, and it's cool. I would say I don't love Hear About It Later. I don't hate it. I think that it's semi good, semi not good, but songs like Sinner's Swing remind me of my high school and the way that I used to bounce up and down for no reason. And then some girls liked me and I acted like I didn't like them, and it caused a whole bunch of shit. I don't want to talk about that. But, you know, it's a good it's a good album. I would say it's probably close to one of their best albums, except it's not their best album, but it is, if that makes sense.
Okay. And I have this album on vinyl. I have a very, very small vinyl collection, but I have this album on vinyl, and I love
Cool.
listening to it. It sounds even better on vinyl to me sometimes. My
Yeah,
favorite
right
track's
on, man.
probably Unchained is probably my favorite track, and Push Comes to Shove, you was talking about it.
Yeah.
I kind of look at that as kind of a pre-Secrets type song before we're getting
Wow,
into
that's cool. Thank you for
kind
telling me
of
that, man. That's fucking cool.
it has kind of a Secrets kind of vibe before Secrets even came about, really.
Man, you
But
told me
before that,
some you told me some that I learned from, man. You're fucking right on, man.
okay.
But anyway,
Well,
go on. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
oh no, you're fine. You're fine. Mark, what's your thoughts on Fair Warning?
It's the best album they ever made.
Okay.
It's the best one. I don't understand when we get into the next one how that one did a lot better. But I do like that album though. But this is like freaking amazing album. It's like all originals. Great fucking album. Mean Street, Dirty Movies, man. Freaking remember when that girl was prom queen? Freaking David Isms all over this album. Come on, Dave, give me a break. Ha ha ha, one break coming up. Sinner's Swing. She looks so fucking good. Fucking Hear About It Later. Great song. Fucking harmonies. Fucking great Unchained harmonies. Push Comes to Shove with that little fucking bass line that Michael's doing. So Is This Love, the little instrumental Saturday Night Afternoon in the Park that just goes out to a killer ender with one foot out the door. But I think those songs should have been like one song though. But this is a great fucking album.
All right. Well, then we move to the next album, Diver Down, 1982. Kind of another controversial album because it features majority covers. So a lot of people find this album to have too many covers, but to me, I've always loved this album. I think the covers that's on here sound like Van Halen, and Van Halen, they took these tracks and turned them into their own type musical style. And I love this album. I think Where Have All the Good Times Gone? Classic Van Halen. Hang 'em High, great track. That's an original song. Cathedral, original track, which is an Eddie Van Halen instrumental. Love it. Secrets, amazing. My favorite track on the album. Intruder is a awesome little interlude to Oh Pretty Woman. Dancing in the Street, classic soul R&B type song turned into this very interesting rock song. Little guitars, the intro and little guitars, of course. Classic Van Halen. Big Bad Bill is Sweet William Now. Classic Van Halen. Another cover, The Full Bug, an original song, awesome. And we end off with Happy Trails. and classic Van Halen. 12 songs, but very short. I think it runs just over 30 minutes. And it features Alex and Eddie Van Halen's dad, Jan Van Halen, on, or I've heard it pronounced
It's Jan.
Jan.
It's Jan.
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 Jan. That's it. That's
Jan.
it. And he plays flute on Big Bad Bill. Great album, I think. And basically, this album came about after I think Fair Warning kind of failed or so below expectations. The studio or the company, the Warner Brothers Records, basically said put out a bunch of hit songs, and that's a kind of a greater chance of a hit record. And Eddie Van Halen has said in retrospect that he doesn't really like this album, that he would have rather put out an album of his own stuff that would have bombed rather than put out a bunch of covers that would have bombed. The 3 singles released off the album, Oh Pretty Woman, Dancing in the Street, and Where Have All the Good Times Gone? Once again, another Kinks cover. I didn't even talk about that. Where Have All the Good Times Gone is a Kinks cover. I love this whole album, as I've said for like the 3rd or 4th time. So, Mark, what is your thoughts on Diver Down?
Well, another Kinks song they do better than the Kinks starting off the album. And fucking Hang 'em High, Cathedral Secrets, Intruder going into Oh Pretty Woman. Great cover by them on that one. I like the version of Oh Pretty Woman, but I don't think it's better than the original. Nobody could beat Roy. Dancing in the Street's a fucking shit fest. I don't like it. I don't like the fucking way it sounds. It's just too busy for me. It's just too fucking busy. Just all this shit going around in the fucking song. It fucking, I didn't like the fucking Bowie fucking Jagger version of this. Just leave it to the girl group in the 60s, man. It was better. Little Guitars is a fucking great song. Big Bad Bill, I love that song. Fucking Doing the Dishes, Mobbing of Davlo. It's a fucking cover again. And then The Full Bug, best song on the album. And then they end with Happy Trails. Bomb, ba-dee-da, bomb. Fucking, I love it. It's fucking cool. But I hated it how they released the singles as all covers. They could have fucking did Full Bug. They could have did Little Guitars as singles, man. That would have been great. Those originals are better than the damn covers, to me. So, it's a great album, man. It sold more than Fair Warning. I had no fucking idea why. Maybe it's because of Old Pretty Woman and that fucking Samurai Michael Anthony video and shit. Fucking, it's a cool video, though. Great album, though. Not their best.
Little Guitars should have been a single now that you say it.
And the Full Bug, too, man.
I think even Hang 'em High would have made a good single.
It would have, man. I don't know why they did all covers.
But to you, Lee, what is your thoughts on
This is going to
Diver Down?
sound very weird, but I'm going to say in beginning, even though I don't agree with what both of you said, I totally agree with what both of you said. It's really strange. In other words, the reasons why you don't like certain songs and like other songs is the reason why I feel the same way, even though I do like those songs a lot more. So it's strange, but here's a tiny, not as much of a backstory, but a tiny backstory to this album. I was in science class in high school, and there were kids who had Van Halen's Diver Down album. And these were the cool kids who acted like if they could have acted weirder than me, they could have, but they couldn't. So they tried and they couldn't, but I still respected them for trying. And they had the album. Damn it! I hate this fucking cough. But anyway, I'm sorry. And anyway, that should be before Bombadita. Okay, Bombadita. Fuck! I hate this fucking cough. Bombadita. But anyway, the idea is, I asked them, "How is it?" I was going to get it. I didn't know how it sounded. Of course, I was getting everything Van Halen at the time, so it wasn't like I was going to not get it. But I didn't even know that they had an album out. I just saw people in science class suddenly with a lot of copies of Diner Down. So I asked them how it was, and they said, "This is a good album. This is fucking good." It's like, okay, I'll get it. And then when I heard it, I thought it was pretty good. I thought I wasn't surprised at the amount of covers because they did do "You Really Got Me" and "Ice Cream Man" in the first album, and they did "You No Good" on the second album. And sometimes groups did stuff like that. They would have albums with cover songs, and then they would have a couple albums without cover songs. Then they'd go into cover songs again. So it did not surprise me, and I was not against that at all. It was only a matter of how do they sound. To me, I agree with you on this song, not on the other, but on this, Mark. "Where Have All the Good Times Gone" is not a great Kinks song, but it's a great Van Halen song.
Wow.
David Lee
We
Roth,
agree on everything.
yeah, right on, man, we do. But anyway, David Lee Roth said that when Van Halen was doing records, there was a K-Tel album of Kinks songs, and they memorized all of the songs on side one. And so, who knows how many other Kinks songs they knew that they didn't do. But to me, well, in Tudor, I found out David Lee Roth wrote that. He did the keyboard, and that was his song. And he knows how to write score music. Eddie Van Halen doesn't. Alex Van Halen knows how to write a little bit. But the only two people in Van Halen who know how to actually write score music is David Lee Roth and Alex Van Halen. To me, they're the true musicians of the group. But fuck me, people are gonna say fuck that. But anyway, the idea is the only songs that I don't love on it are "Big Bad Bill" and "Happy Trails." Even though Dale Evans was a really sexy lady who was married to Will Rogers, she was hot and she wrote it, and it's a cool song when she did it. But Van Halen, they only did it just as a joke. And I do respect the fact that they had the dad on Big Bad Bill. That's a cool thing to have your dad on the album. Right on, man. But I mean, for me, the best songs would be "The Full Bug," "Hang 'Em High." I do love "Dancing in the Streets." That's
Really?
maybe one of the best songs. Yes,
You
it's
don't think
one of
it's
the
too
best
busy?
songs. I I think that the one that the original with Martha and the Vandellas is too echoey. It sounds a little bit too like da 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 da.
Ow.
I like the keyboard. If you listen to my keyboard on my songs and listen to that, you might know why I think the way. But Eddie doesn't like it. So I'm not saying anything against what you're saying. Sometimes I guess I'm not as much into it depending on my mood, but to me, "Hang 'Em High," "The Full Bug," "Dancing in the Streets" are the three best songs, and "Where Have All the Good Times Gone" is the honorable mention. But it's okay. It's not their best album, but it's definitely not their worst. I would say it's slightly below Van Halen 2, but better than maybe, I don't know. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I won't skip any song on this album. I'll even listen to Dancing with the Street. It's not horrible.
Yeah,
it's
I
just.
know.
I'd rather get to the next song.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. And I heard about the K-Tail thing that you was talking about with the Kinks and all. I've,
Wow.
I've never heard about the. I've never heard the original version of Where Have All the Good Times Gone. I've heard the original version of You Really Got Me, of course. And
In
just
my
before we move
opinion,
on,
you don't need to hear it, but if you want to, you can. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, oh, you're fine. I just wanted to go back to the previous album, Diver. I'm not Diver Down. Fair Warning. The album cover of that was like some weird painting. That was what that came from. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And I have Diver Down on vinyl as well. I had one more thing to say, but I have forgot about it. Oh, I've got it. I made a playlist of the original songs from the album. I just put all the original songs off the album and just made it into a playlist, and it has a pretty good flow to it actually. Maybe
That's
they could have
cool.
released an EP or something back then as Diver Down. And pretty much I was also reading that. Let me go back to it here. I was just looking around, and basically this was basically where Eddie Van Halen really wanted to do 1984
Mm.
or something similar to 1984, but David Lee Roth vetoed that as well, as with Fair Warning. But then we moved to 1984, probably up next to the original, their most well-known album, probably has their most well-known songs on it.
Also,
And
Diamond.
oh yeah, and it's the final to feature the original lineup and the final with David Lee Roth up until Different Kind of Truth. Just going through the track listing here, 1984. A lot of people hate it. I never have hated it. It is what it is. It's part of the album. It's a interlude to Jump, pretty much. Jump, I never get burnt out on. I love Jump. It's a great melodic pop song, pretty much, with Eddie Van Halen. I love the guitar. The guitar solo is probably the best part of the song. But Diamond Dave's lyrics is amazing, or are amazing on the song. Trying to get my grammar correct here. But Jump, I've always really enjoyed. I never get burnt out on it. Panama, same way. I can listen to Panama. That was Eddie Van Halen's ode to AC/DC, actually. And I can very much tell now that he's said that. It sounds like an AC/DC type riff. Top Jimmy, classic Van Halen. Drop Dead Legs, classic Van Halen. Hot for Teacher, same way. I can listen to it pretty much any day of the week. I'll Wait, love it. Co-written by Michael McDonald of Doobie Brothers, and I can totally tell
Holy shit! I had not known that.
You
Thank
didn't
you.
know that, Lee?
No.
And they tried to they tried to like take him off the songwriting credit too.
I thought that he wasn't on it.
No, he he helped write I'll Wait with them.
But what I mean is, like, I never saw the songwriting credit with him.
They took it in the beginning. They took it off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
The versions he wasn't on there, but now they've written him in as co-writer. So
yeah.
Okay.
I can tell. I don't know what he had written lyrics. That's the only thing I'm assuming. But even with that, I can kind of tell he had some. He kind of worked with the lyrics a little bit and had some. He had a part in the lyrics or whatever.
I have a story about it, but I will tell you later when it's my turn.
Okay. Girl Gone Bad, I've always loved it. A lot of people say it could have been an instrumental. I could see that because it was played as an instrumental on the Diver Down tour as part of Somebody Get Me a Doctor. And then they would go into, believe I'm So Glad by Cream. I get I'm So Glad and I Feel Free mixed up. I think it's I'm So Glad. And then the House of Pain, early Van Halen. Has that weird, like, you can barely, like something with the production, you can barely tell that it's David Lee Roth singing. And it eventually it just kind of straightens on out and it's fine. I love this album. My favorite track on there is probably either Drop Dead Legs or Hot for Teacher is probably my favorites on the album.
Hmm.
And it really does show where the band was moving to with the next album, with stuff like Drop Dead Legs, Top Jimmy, I'll Wait, Jump, all of that, even Panama to an extent. Four singles released off the album: Jump, Hot for Teacher, and Panama. All three of those received videos. I'll Wait was the second single, actually, with Panama and Hot for Teacher being the third and fourth. And I'll Wait they had started working on a video, but it never was finished. You can find that on YouTube, it's out there. And I'm reading here that Hot for Teacher was actually backed with Little Dreamer, which is interesting. And once again, produced by Ted Templeman. But this album was massively successful. I believe it was held off the number one spot just because of Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Yep.
And really and truly, technically, Van Halen made number one because Eddie Van Halen's on Thriller for Beat It. So
Hmm.
I like this album. It was the end of an era, and we'll move on after this to the Van Hagar years, or however you want to call it. So, Lee, what's your thoughts on 1984?
Okay, well, first of all, before I forget, um, David Lee Roth said that the song "I'll Wait," there was a lady who did like a jeans picture. I had that picture itself. I thought it was sexy. It's her in a really hot outfit, and he said that he put the picture on the stand and he was singing directly to her. Now, whether or not he might have done that, but it would probably then counter his admitting to whether or not Michael McDonald did anything. Personally, after I'm done this review, I would rather hear a Michael McDonald album than a Van Halen album.
I
But
love Michael McDonald.
you know, the thing is, this album, I was like everybody else. I had heard the song Jump when it was premiered in 1983 on December 31st, the day before 1984, and the album itself was recorded and released on 1983, the last day of 1983. So even though it says 1984, the album itself is still mentioned as being part of 1983. I heard that song. I went, "What the hell is this shit?" I was like, "This is what they do. They do crap after they say they're not going to do crap." And of course, David Lee Roth is going to sing. He's going to dance. It's going to be a big hit. This is like everybody on Facebook, on every single fucking music group that's on now. Everybody who is a lot younger than me, who likes Def Leppard Pyromania better than High and Dry, who likes Creatures of the Night better than Lick It Up. I'm sorry, but I mean, I get a little bit testy, but I mean, piece of shit. But then again, Eddie Van Halen was the one responsible for doing that kind of shit because he wanted to seem like he was a good keyboard player, which I guess so, but that's not indicative of the whole album. I like the song 1984. I like Panama. I didn't used to love I'll Wait, but I do now. But pretty much everything except for Jump, I like. But occasionally, I will still hear Jump and then hear another song in my mind to compare it to someone who I'm saying in my mind, do you see the difference here? And I used to dance to Jump on my mirror, and I had my dog who would hump my leg in the dancing, and it was weird, but I would dance to Jump and pretend I was David Lee Roth, and my dog would hump my leg, and I thought it was kind of funny. So I'm kind of contradicting myself in what I'm saying, but in truth, I guess Jump is not the most horrible song I've ever heard, but it definitely is like Dance the Night Away. It doesn't belong. It's just a piece of bullshit. And I think the rest of the album without it is a fine album. And I saw Van Halen live during this tour, and they were pretty damn good. Okay.
Okay, that's cool.
Hey Lee,
And
I have a question. When your dog was dancing around and humping your leg, did he have his shirt tucked in?
I would have wanted that to be the case, but he always shrugged out of the shirt. He said, "No, it's your leg, not the shirt. That's
All
most
right,
important."
I'm sorry. I just had to make it.
No, I'm happy you said it.
And like you said, Lee, this was definitely a big win for Eddie Van Halen because he was wanting to move more into the keyboards and everything else.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've always really enjoyed it. And it does show where the band would go after this. But, Mark, what's your thoughts on 1984?
Well, this was my first Van Halen album from Columbia House back in 1983 because it came out before 1984. And it's this album kind of got overlooked for me because at the same time I got Def Leppard's Pyromania, which I still love better than this album. But overall, I love Van Halen. Van Halen is in my higher anarchy of groups. So than Def Leppard, but Def Leppard is just below them. But I think Pyromania was a perfect album for me for some reason. I still love that album.
That actually the whole album Pyromania is better than the song Jump. I'd rather hear the whole Pyromania album than to hear Jump. So if that means I'm kind of agreeing with you, so be it.
And I meant hierarchy, not anarchy.
Okay, what the fuck ever.
So, man, it starts with the instrumental keyboard, 1984, which I think that should have just been Jump, but they split it up into 2 tracks. Jump is an amazing song. I like it. It's fun. It's cool. It's great video. So it's David Lee Roth doing his splits, Eddie Van Halen's keyboard and guitar prowess on that song. I don't get bored of it. A lot of people do. Panama, people get burned out of this song. I love this song. Freaking great riffs, great song. Top Jimmy's amazing. Some friends of mine just the other night just hear this cool cat blow. Said he sang so good that the roof fell in and he didn't even stop the show. I love that fucking
song. A true story, actually, too.
Yeah. Yeah. And then freaking Drop Dead Legs, great song, the inside one, if you had the final. Hot for Teacher, amazing with Alex Van Halen's drums. Great guitar solo, great video. And one of the best videos of all time. I put that video and Aha's Take On Me together. They are one of the top 2 videos of all time, in my opinion.
Hot for Teacher and Take On Me?
Yeah.
That's weird.
I'm talking about the video, not the
Strawberries. I'm sorry.
But the videos were well made. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I'm kind of drunk and I am interrupting you for no reason, so my apologies.
That's what we always do, Lee, because we agree.
Okay, you right on. So I'll shut up now.
And I'll Wait was the ballad of the album. I don't know why they didn't make it a single. Freaking great song. Girl Gone Bad rules. House of Pain is awesome. The thing is, David Lee Roth, when Eddie Van Halen wanted to bring keyboards, David Lee Roth goes, "Hey man, you're a guitar hero, man. You don't need no fucking keyboards." And Eddie fucking fought him and got the keyboards in. And every time fucking David Lee Roth wants to go do a show, what song does he pick? Fucking Jump. Fucker.
I actually saw an interview, or I heard an interview with David Lee Roth, and I forget who did the interview, but they asked him, how did you feel about Jump? Were you against him? No, I was the one who was into the pop stuff. I thought it was good. So he said that he actually liked the album, or he liked the song.
He said he didn't want to do it because of the keyboards. An old interview with him. So.
Oh, okay. He tends to keep changing what he says.
Yes, he changes because he does that song all the time. Because when
Yeah.
they got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Velvet Revolver was playing, like a tribute to them. And
Yeah.
David Lee Roth told him, he says, "Yeah, I'll come, but I want to play Jump." And Slash goes, "Dude, we don't have keyboards." He goes, "So get some keyboards in there, man." But they didn't do it.
Have you ever heard the country version of Jump with
I
David Lee
heard
Roth?
all the versions of fucking Jump. I heard the freaking
I like the country version, believe it or not. That's
EDM
weird.
version of Jump, the country version of Jump. They all suck, dude. There's only one good version, and that's on this album.
No, the only good version's the country version.
Fuck that.
No, that's the only good version. I'm the EDM version is da 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 da, and then after about 10 minutes he goes, "Hey!" and they go, "Hey!" and he says, "Jump!" and they say, "Jump!" and then goes da 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 for another 10 minutes.
I don't know how people like EDM. That is horrible music. It's just my opinion.
It's horrible people that watch it. They're fucking. They're assholes, and they don't wear their shirt tucked in. They're like fucking. None of them wear their shirt tucked in. They're all like dummy, like Paula Dean type of crap, or like Roseanne Barr people. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get into that shit.
They're all willy nilly the way they dress, man. Can't handle
Yeah,
it.
they're all. Yeah.
All right, man. I think we're done, Devin.
Yeah, we're all dumb.
We're all dumb. I think I'm dumb.
What is I know.
And we have the Sammy Hagar period, so thank you very fucking much. Anyway, go on.
All right. Well, this was also, as I said earlier, the final record to feature Ted Templeman until 1991. So then we move on to 1986.